for the stars, traveling so far, like a dragonfly. Keep your secrets there, keep them everywhere. Just you and I run away. I run away. I was angry before, but I circled the drain in my mind. I can't find. Don't let the sun go down. Don't let the sun go down. I was angry before, but I circled the drain in my mind. I can't find. Don't let the sun go down. Don't let the sun go down.
Thirty seconds. Okay, there we go. We're live. Awesome. Welcome to another Funtico stream, everybody. Really exciting topic today. We're going to be talking about the evolution of Web3 gaming, especially here on Avalanche. I'll say, as we talk about the evolution of Web3 gaming, we really are talking about the evolution of indie gaming and gaming in general. Of course, Web3 is our home here. Many of the guests and many of the speakers are coming from the Web3 native angle. But once we really reach the critical mass and once we reach full maturity, I believe that every game will be a Web3 game. So, or every game that needs it will be a Web3 game. It'll be less of a focus and more of kind of a feature. Now, we're going to start off with a little bit of an intro about what brought us here today, the Avalanche Game Loop program. So Avalanche Game Loop is a partnership between LaunchLoop, a company that hosts game jams for developers and has a great community of developers constantly working on new and awesome, exciting builds. Funtico, one of the premier web gaming platforms, the premier gaming platform on Avalanche with a lot of fun games, an incredible tournament structure. And they're also going to be hosting a tournament for us for these awesome games that were submitted during Avalanche Game Loop. So we'll definitely share some more information about that. 6,000, actually, I believe Pavel added another 1,000, $7,000 in prizes for the gamers, totally free to play, kicking off next Wednesday. So really, really, really excited for that. You can now see a little bit of a video if you're following along the broadcast with a little bit more information about the game jam and the tournament. So we'll go ahead and let that play. And then we will introduce our awesome guests today. We have some great guests from across the entire crypto space here. incredible Mr. Console, the community lead at Big Arcade. We have co-founder from Kazar. We have also, I think that's it for now. We may also be joined by the team from Revived in a little bit. Awesome. So, hey guys, let's go ahead and do some introductions. So I'll go ahead and start with Pavel.
Hey Mickey, thank you for that amazing intro. Pavel here, co-founder of Funtico. The guy being busy of trying to make everyone happy, but I'm joking. My most importantly, to offer a proper space for the game developers and especially the indie game community. And I'm very excited about what we managed to do in the last month, and happy to hear about more insights, especially on what's happening on AVAX from our hosts. Sorry.
All right, let's go ahead and go to Mr. Console. Please introduce yourself.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. First of all, I have to share my excitement to be here. It's going to be an amazing discussion. This is a new format. I have never done this before. I don't even know what I'm doing, and that's what's making me excited, because we love taking new steps into the unknown. Briefly, I'm Mr. Console, community lead over at Bigger. Bigger is the world's first digital arcade to turn assets into games, games into assets. I'll leave it there because I want those words to really sip through. Other than that, happy to be here. Thanks for the invitation, and let's rock and roll.
It's going to be tough to follow up that introduction. But Abhishek from Kazar, please introduce yourself and share a little bit about Kazar.
Thanks, Mickey. And definitely excited. Love the whole energy from Mr. Quest and you guys. So at Kazar, we are building a multi-chain gaming ecosystem. I'm the co-founder, Abhishek. Love to discuss ahead about how gaming studios are building in the Web3 space.
Fantastic. All right. Well, let's get right into it. We have some really awesome questions today. I think these are important conversations to be having. Anybody in the audience, please feel free to use that chat aggressively. We all are monitoring it, so any questions you have, we'll definitely share. If you feel so strongly that you want to join the discussion, then definitely reach out to us as well, and we'll send you over the link. So we'll start off with a heavy hitter. So many indie games are struggling, yet we're also in an incredible indie game gold rush where we're seeing more and more games than ever actually start to reach a niche audience and start to make some money. Now, the numbers are getting better, but it's still very challenging to make a living as an indie game. And I think with some of the developments we're seeing in the world, as well as some of the developments we're seeing in Web3, I'm hopeful that we're going to be able to start chipping away at this. So speaking of chipping away, what is the supportive environment? What is the type of support that people need, that indie developers need to really get their games in front of the right audience and to really find that success with their games? So any of the panel here who feels strongly, very, very excited to hear from you. If not, I will popcorn to my trusty Pavel.
We can start if you want. So yeah, that's a great question, because it in a way embodies what we are trying to solve with Avalanche right now for the indie game developer space. And I think the multiple things are missing. And I would mention what pops in my head without any order of importance. So one are tools, right? And of course you can say, yeah, but we are living in the AI movement, and it's not exactly like that, because those can serve you until a certain point where they cannot anymore. So tools is something that the space is missing. tools to integrate, avenues to promote, different, let's say, add-ons that will make you as a developer just focus on your game, especially as an indie game developer, and knowing you can rely on other things that are scalable, that are workable, that can take you places. The other thing is the business model, right? So usually, and it's a good thing, and I hope it will remain like this, a game developer starts doing a game from passion. And because he has an idea, he cannot sleep at night and he wants to see it on the screen. But we all know, or we all seen how brutal the market, not the crypto market, the gaming market in general has become in the last 2 years. So even though it's hard to, or maybe it's not even correct to start a game with how do I monetize it, but I think having a path, right? Like a light or at the end of the tunnel that at least you know after you do your game, there might be already existing ways for you to monetize or plug and play, I think is also missing. And thirdly, because I think I can go and with 10 answers, but let's keep it short. Thirdly, I would say is understanding and support, right? Because all of the game developers have different personalities, different technologies, different ways of seeing the world and the business and the vision. And it's hard to put together, I don't know, tens of developers on a common cause. But when that common cause fixes most of the pain points from all of the developers, it becomes a community. So from my perspective, those are missing. There are others, but those are the big things that I think if done correctly, they can actually move the needle and get more trust in the own, let's say, powers of each developer, right? Self-esteem, that his game is going to do good. That's also important, right? It's not just about developing and that's it.
Absolutely, Pablo. And it's like, a pot of boiling water with the steam adding up and the top is about to blow off. The more and more you let that water boil, in other words, the more and more effort you put into your game before ever getting it in front of an audience and getting that initial feedback, the harder that feedback is going to hit when you get it. So that's what we're doing with Game Loop, is we're trying to make it as easy as possible for the developers to get to a point where they can put their idea in front of gamers and start to get that feedback, so that they know, hey, I'm onto something here. Let me go deeper. Or, hey, actually, I need to rethink a lot of stuff that I've been doing. And, before they waste 6, 8, 12 months on trying to make that game ready for Steam or for a larger audience. I saw the panel members here were raising their hands. I believe Mr. Consul first. So I'll pass over to Mr. Consul, and then we'll go over to Abhishek next.
Yeah, buddy. Woo! My goodness, you've decided to kick us off with a question that can really cause all of us to go on rambling with 10 different answers, as Pavel put it. I'll begin by stating that jobs have been getting lost in the gaming space. And of course, that talent is gonna formulate its own studio or step into different factions of the internet. But we're seeing a lot of games being kicked off, as you stated. I believe this year will be another record amount of releases on Steam. What we're also witnessing is a slowdown from big studios. They're shutting down projects, or rather not wanting to take on risk due to their bloated size, and just simply bet on the franchises that have been working. To also add to the indie movement and how much I believe it's really going to be strong, the figures never take into account UGC. We have platforms such as Roblox, which have quote unquote indie studios. We have Fortnite, which also have indie studios. So that wave is really, in my opinion, going to pick up with all these macroeconomic forces, forcing individuals to just publish, because it's easier today than ever with AI tools coming into the picture to publish. Now, with so many games being released, truly, it's a big bottleneck on discoverability. I think everybody struggles on this point. Beyond talking about your monetization system and building your community and all these other rosy concepts, you're going nowhere if no one knows about you. And I think a lot of games are still getting drowned in big releases. We're still in that ecosystem of one hit, one wonders, where big franchises are still monopolizing a lot of the attention. So I would say the largest support we have to offer all these indie studios is discoverability. Because once people can actually see your game, play your game, engage in your ecosystem, everything else just falls into its place. That being monetization as well as funding. But it all starts with, do people know you? Do people know your game exists? So that would be the support that we really have to offer all the studios with the macroeconomic climate in gaming currently.
Wow. Well, love the passion, Mr. Console. Incredible answer. Abhishek, let's hear from you.
So I actually agree with console. I think discoverability is one of the major challenge for any indie game dev. Also, I think since I used to run a Web2 game studio and pivoted into Web3, I think still one of the major challenge is the onboarding for a lot of developers as well, because we have so many chains, so many different ecosystems. Having a simple tool which help them to build something on chain, and then they have to understand if they're implementing some token, what will be the consequences, gameplays, and integrating it in through the gameplay. So I think there is still a lot of challenges which we need to, I think, make sure that these fresh minds who are coming from the Web2 to Web3, I think they understand what and how to do it the best way. And I think Web3 is still, even we have so many competitions in Web2 space, I think Web3 still needs and lacks good quality gameplay games, which I think is a great spot where indie game devs from Web2 space can come in and create some crazy good games.
Yeah, I completely agree. Pavel, anything you wanted to add on to that, or should we dive into some of the specifics?
Let's dive into specific. No, I think there's a lot to discuss. So let's
I
move
think
on.
there's a lot to discuss, especially around items like onboarding, items like how do you optimize some of the Web3 features to really help with player engagement. So, let's start to go from the top. Oh, was that Pavel?
Oh, nothing. Maybe some background noise. Yeah.
All right, cool. So let's go ahead and start with kind of start from the beginning. So as Web3 gaming really started to kick off, the majority of Web3 games really sort of started by launching a token. And as the last few years have progressed, I think we've seen a lot of issues with that strategy. And so let's talk about them. What are some of the biggest hidden risks of launching a token before your game has a solid, engaged player base?
Can I start?
Please do.
Wow, a lot. So first is, if you don't synchronize, so let's say you launch the token before your game is live. And then the first question is, how much do I need to raise in order to be liquid enough to support the post-hype apocalypse? If you don't raise enough and you haven't synchronized your hype period with the game launch, you can start again. I don't recommend you doing that, but it's my way of saying it's not impossible, but it's very hard to then make it happen. After, if you're not greedy enough and want to raise $100 million for your idea, even though you had never managed $100,000, that's also a disconnect where people just go crazy because they can. But once that money comes in, most of the time, if it's a lot of money, that vision is not fulfilled. And that's how you end up with this bad image in Web3 about gaming. Then I would say it's all about the developer. In this case, let's say it's an indie game developer that wants to launch his token before his game. That's perfectly fine if everything makes sense. Not from just tokenomics perspective and stuff, but even how much you want to raise. I don't know when the last time I heard someone saying, I want to raise $50,000 by selling a token. No, everyone raised millions and billions and quadrillions. I don't know why they need it, but it's nice to have it. So I would say 9 out of 10 raising, doing a token for a game before the game goes live. As an indie developer, I would not recommend. If you're a studio and you have resources and you can actually deliver, yes, that can work, but still it's challenging to synchronize that hype period with the launch period. If you have enough budget, you can have 2 hype periods, I guess, but usually it doesn't work that well. And lastly, I think to not incentivize that much, it was a trend 2-3 years ago, early adopters. That's amazing. But don't give them benefits that even if they love you, when potentially that chart will go 10x because they were early, and you expect them not to sell because they love you is not the way things work around here. Fortunately or unfortunately. So overall, I would advise no, again, for indie developers to first build something, show something, gather some feedback, go out there, and then things will come. If they just have the money, and especially more money than they can handle, most likely things will fail. Because that's human nature.
It's, as you build the excitement for something like a TGE, you have to balance that very much because you don't want your entire gaming community to be all about speculation. And then also what's really important to keep in mind is once that TGE happens, that hype ends. It's over. It's done, So you have to manage that very well. And really, you have to mature to a point where you really have a need for that token economy within your game. It's not just something, that you raise money on. And I think the market is smart. Maybe it's a little bit slow to understand these things, but it is smart. And if you have somebody who, maybe a couple years ago, you might have been able to raise millions of dollars with a nice trailer for your game, a little video that says, look at this thing that's coming. That is not the case anymore. We see some Web3 games that are developing for over a year before they even start teasing about a token. And so if that's your competition, then that's what you have to do. And so it's very, very risky to lead with a token. Much better to mature and get to a point where you really have a need for it. How about I'll open it up to the rest of the panel here? Yeah. Abhishek, did you have a comment first? I know Mr. Consul just raised.
Yeah.
Abhishek, I think
So, can you hear me?
Perfectly.
Awesome. So I totally agree with Pavel as well. I think the whole goal with token is that you can fundraise or raise some amount of money to sustain that development. And I think token shouldn't be the prior goal for anyone who is building a game. There should be a demand. Like just take example of PUBG or Fortnite, right? They never asked or told you to can you give me some money for these tokens. They first made you play it for free, right? If there's demand, people will itself buy it. People will itself use it inside the game as well. And that's from where the demand comes in. If you launch the token initially, that's all cool. That sounds great. But ultimately, people will get the money and they will just sell it off. So I don't think the token should be the main goal for anyone who are building games. I think it's all about the gameplay and how engaging and demanding you can create it for your players. If they want it, ultimately your token will pump up. If they are buying it, if they need it to play the game, right?
Yeah, absolutely. That's a great point. And I think a lot of this technology or a lot of the levers that you can pull to get that engagement within your game exist outside of Web3 as well. So there's no reason that you can't start, collecting points, teasing that you have in-game tokens, maybe even after a match, say you earned 5 whatever game tokens. But they don't have to be on chain right away. This is just builds more and more information for you to reward the right players in the ways that you want and to get that engagement that you want. So I think that, again, this just points to really maturing with your in-game economy before you consider a drastic move like a TGE. By the way, as you do that maturing, you will get more and more and more and more attention because people will start to talk. Hey, wait a second, these guys might have a token at some point. And if that brings somebody into your game, great. But now, of course, that goes back to one of our first points. You have to have a very fun game, too, to keep those people engaged. Let me quickly go back to Abhishek just because I think I was responding to some of the things he said. Then Mr. Consul will open the floor to you, and I know you'll have a passionate response as well.
So yeah, so last one thing which I right now I'm feeling, because I came into Web3 speak back in like 2020, and I have seen how play to earn thing was misused a lot, right? We all know that, and I think right now a lot of games are creating a more user-friendly mechanics, and that's something I'm really interested in, where people aren't anymore has to worry about a token, or even if they know that there's a token aligned in it, and everything, the whole interface is web 2, and that's something I think is really great, because the day a user
Yes,